Hello guys, welcome to this week's lesson, which is JavaScript manipulation of the DOM, which is document object model. First of all, we're going to do is the definition first. This is a DOM layout kind of thing where you have a type HTML and then you go into it and you have a head. So this is like a tree structure of the DOM. And then these what's called nodes. All the lines you see are nodes. So the head is HTML is the node, dot type is a node, head is a node, so is text. And then these title, body, the others things you do know, which are which called element node. And then at the very top is typical the root node. This is applicable to other type of files such as XML and stuff like that. But for this one, it's always HTML. And right here is a parent node of P, and it's also parent of A as well, former descendants, right? This is like a parent. And then here is a child node. It's a direct descendant of this section. So this is a child of section, but this one is not a child of a body. However, A is a child of P, and A is a descendant of section, as just P is descendant of a body. So this one is also descent of HTML. So descendant is like one or more. Whereas a child is always directly below, like this one. And then these words called a text node. So why should we modify DOM? Well, first of all, it allows you to have dynamic websites. For example, this one was playing a video, whereas this one doesn't have a video. So this one, I actually disabled the HTML, as you can see here, in here. Amazon does a pretty good job to make sure that everything stays the same, but it shows you the limitations of not having JavaScript. Where here you can watch videos and you can interactively change, so you can see some key differences. Whereas here, and then here we see the solar system, right? And then ALS, you have action and fancy animation. So here, you can change it to 3D or 2D, and they will actually transit over by using JavaScript because you push, and then this happened, and then you push that, and then this it shows something else. So if you click on the size, they actually upscale the sun and downscale the Earth to kind of show you the scale of the solar system. So that's why it allows you to do when you modify DOM. So how do you modify it? Well, first of all, you need to select them. It's also known as query selectors right here. The most recommended approach is to use query selector function or query selector all function, which returns all of the things you try to select. And it comes from the document object, which is what you see here. This is the document right here, and this is the head I think this is navigation. This one's the header, or vice versa. But right now we're focusing on the document. That's the most important thing. And this is why it allows you to select within the document. And the ordinary convenient way to use it is to use these things, which we have done in the WDD 130, which is to do it this way because it's simple enough to do what we need. But it limits us from doing a CSS selector. So dot class or hashtag ID is what allows you to do it right here, which is actually nice. As you can see, it's selecting element tag of each one with the class and the ID right here. I did that to kind of show you how you use it, and you assign it to variable. And now when you want to modify or create an element, you do dot create element right here, which creates a new node right here based on the element. And then how you use it, you create a constant or variable or whatever, just not matter. And then you create a variable equals document.create element. That means create nodes basically. And then you want to create each one tag. And now if you want to not having to do dot create for many things inside of each one, you can actually use that inner HTML, and then you can assign as much HTML you want with it. So this that workaround, not having to do this to for div and then parameters and then p and then div and then added. in this method of append child, which is called node modification, because we're modifying the node, which could be the text or the node or whatever. So you do the append child to add a node, and then remove child to remove a node, and then remove is to remove itself. Now, there's a older browser that does not support this, so you do .parent node .remove child function. For example, I have two division variable, which is divs with different selectors. Either I have that as an example. And now, if I want to add new element from previous example to a division, then I do it this way, and this way I add to it. Now, what happens if you add this one to the second one? Well, what actually happens is it moves the element from this one to this one. So, because you're pointing at the same object. So there can only be one instance of this specific object. So that's why when you try to append it to somewhere else, it actually moves it. Now, if you do remove it, you can't do division that remove here. If you do this one, you actually have to use division to that remove new element. And this is just one of the methods. The other method is, of course, to have itself to remove. And then the other one is the parent node that remove child for the support of older browser. Now, there are multiple ways to use modify CSS. One of the ways, which is not recommended, is to do it through document.stylesheet, where you can add or remove style sheets. It's not recommended. It's okay. It's not useful. It's hard to use. The other one is to do like h1.style or HTML element of some sort, h1.style, which is a style property. And then the other one is to use .set attribute, which you have an attribute in the FAQ. For example, let's say I got that one from previous example, and I want to change it to color, right? Well, I could use that attribute style, as you can see here, as a name, and then value is colon right in the semicolon. Well, that's like this one's right here, that one's right here, and that one's right here. So this is better way to write styling specifically than this one right here. And that way you don't have to write this many characters, It reaches a lot of code, which is better. And then but what if you want to do like background color to blue, right? Foreground color to be white, and then spacing to be 4, and you want to do all that. You could do it this way, or you could set the class, and then you go into CSS file and you modify the class. That way you're separating JavaScript code from CSS, which is highly recommended, and that's why they provide it this way, and it's the most open usage of such attribute. So first you have the class name, and then you have a custom class name right here, and then that will add this into the header element where you see a class equals a custom class CSS name. And the other usage of this attribute is for the buttons you can type in disable and have it blank, and that considers true, so that disables the button because empty is true for some reason. And then for the linking you can use href and then the linking, and then you can actually remove attribute literally by doing remove attribute function, and then you pass in the class and then custom class name. And then in the chalk attribute, which you can also use to chalk, if it's there, remove it. If it's not there, add it. So it would be as if you're using remove if it's there, and then add attribute if it's not there to chalk it. And that would be end of the tutorial of the DO.